I know today you weren't at camp, but I'm sure you've been following it. You have all the insiders there. So why don't you give us some updates from camp? What are some of the big, breaking news that came out of camp today?
Well, I think the biggest thing right now, is going on camp, and it's going to be this way throughout, I think is the quarterback play. I know Kyle Shanahan says it's not a competition, but I think everybody who's following the team realizes that this is a competition in some way. Again, you have from everything that I heard today and the little snippets that I've seen from camp today, it sure sounds like Trey Lance is still keeping pace with Garoppolo in terms of his play. That's the way it was when I was there on Thursday or on Friday, for sure. Was there's just not much separation between those two, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. I'm really looking forward to the next. We still got 6 weeks to go before this thing, starts for real. I think by the time those 6 weeks, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch how this plays out.
Now, I saw David Lombardi was talking about it, and maybe you could let us know from what you've seen. Is it true that right now Jimmy Garoppolo is going up against the ones and Trey Lance is going up against the twos, or are they both getting reps against the ones?
No, so the way that it works is, at least it's worked so far, was the first team offense goes out and runs 4 plays against the first team defense. Then they switch. The second team offense goes against the second team defense for 4 plays, and then they switch it up, and then it's the threes go, usually like 2 or 3 plays, and then it goes back to the ones. The interesting thing about all this, though, is we keep hearing from reports and from Kyle Shanahan and so on how Trey Lance is running with the twos, except for the fact that he's playing with a second string offensive line, but he's playing with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, and those guys are all rotating through. So he's playing with the starters and throwing to the starting skill position people quite a bit. So he might not be getting reps with the ones in terms of the offensive line and the full team, but he's getting reps with guys that are starters. And obviously they're going up against the number twos in camp. But yeah, that's the way that the situation works out. And I from everything I've seen so far, Lance has done a really good job. And
so, because this was something that I was interested in. So as far as the numbers that are coming out, we're hearing, Trey Lance went, 70% completion, a couple touchdowns, all these kind of things. So is he going up against the twos as far as defense, and Jimmy Garoppolo is going up against the ones as far as defense? Or are they going up? Are the defenses a mixture as well with some of the top corners, secondary, safeties, and linebackers? Is Trey throwing on any of those guys as well?
It's mostly the second guys.
Gotcha.
The first week, even a little bit today, not as much, but that first week especially, you had some starters out, so you still are you're running your second team. Kentavious Street is playing defensive tackle, for example. Samson Ebukam is in place of Nick Bosa. You've got some changes in the secondary because you're missing Jaquaski Tart in the back there, and then you're also missing Emmanuel Mosley. So you've got Tim Harris Jr. Running against that first team offense as well. So it's a mixture throughout. So I think when you watch it, you're seeing a lot of pressure on Trey Lance, just like you're seeing a lot of pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo when it comes to like the pass rush in front of him. So I don't really see a whole lot of difference. I mean, there's, the receivers may get open a little bit more often or so on, but it's not a very big jump because he still has the twos in front of him.
Got you. So we got to take those numbers with a little bit of grain of salt. Obviously Team Trey Lance is throwing Jimmy Bus's numbers under the bus and like kind of just saying, he's not going to be the star, all this kind of stuff. But he is technically going up against better competition than Trey Lance is. Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, on the day that I was there, I think Garoppolo was 6 of 11 or something like that. And of those six completions, 4 of them were checkdowns, and then you had a couple that went down the field a little bit. The farthest pass he threw downfield was about 15 yards.
But it goes beyond that. You can watch them working, the quarterbacks working, during, like, for example, on Friday, they're doing special teams is off working. They're doing a special teams period, but the quarterbacks go over and they're working on a side field with the quarterback coach, and they're working on specific plays that they're going to be running in team. And so they have equipment guys that are standing where the receivers should be, like where the throw should be. And so you can watch that as well. And I mean, there was one period where, they're all working on throwing a deep corner route, and yeah, Garoppolo, his ball was just, fluttering along like a butterfly, whereas the other three guys all have nice tight spirals, and it's getting there, pretty quick, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then when you watch team period, they're running the same play that they were just over on that side field practicing. Both quarterbacks run that same play. There's only one quarterback that's going to take the shot down the field. Garoppolo took that shot, and and he didn't even take the shot. He tried to hit the crosser instead, and he killed some worms with it, and then Trey Lance threw the deep ball, and it was a little bit of a break because the safety wasn't able to get his hand on the ball and undercut it. But so you take those, you're not going to hit those shots unless you take the shots, and I don't think those are shots that Garoppolo is going to take very often.
So you're seeing, kind of what we've all been hoping for is that, Trey is going to be a little bit more of an aggressive quarterback and take a few more deep shots to open up the offense than Jimmy Garoppolo. You're even seeing that in the first, week and a half, or first, I guess, full week of training camp. You're already seeing that kind of decision-making difference with their aggressiveness.
Yeah, you're seeing the ball go down the field a lot more often. So, again, that part, some of the, like with Garoppolo and his team reps, there's a couple of times where the checkdowns, that's where you need to go, because you can see the coverage is, it's decent downfield, so the checkdown's the right spot to go. But then when he goes downfield, he's not hitting those either. So it's just there's not very much separation. I would say if I was to put them in a race, maybe Garoppolo's a step ahead of him, and that's about it. It's not like he's way ahead of him.